Stacy, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Ryan. How are you doing?
Doing great. Got a little bit to talk about. Before we get there, remember to hit like on this video, subscribe on the channel, share it with your friends and colleagues.
Yes, please.
We are at episode 50.
Yes. Big milestone for us. This is an exciting day.
Yep, exciting day. We are going to be interviewing Tamir Poleg. If you're with Real Broker, you for sure know who this gentleman is.
Yes.
If you're not, you need to watch this episode. And of course, if you're looking to have any conversations about Real Broker, just to have your questions answered, Stacy or I are available for that. Let us know, but make sure you watch this video because it is not just a realtor that we are interviewing this time. It's somebody pretty special, somebody that has persevered through some stuff, and his story is pretty amazing.
And we are so excited. Let's get into it.
Tamir Poleg, how are you doing today, sir?
I am great. I'm excited to be here, and thank you for the honor of being the guest on your 50th episode. That's
Yes.
exciting.
Thank you so much
congrats
for
on that.
joining us. Yes,
Sure.
thank you.
Well, episode 50, so we have to make it special.
Yes.
So in that vein, can you tell me what your title is?
Yes.
I'm a dad. I'm a husband. Yeah, we have 5 kids, so I feel like I'm primarily a dad. But I'm the co-founder, and CEO of Real. That's also known as Real Brokerage, Real Broker. But that's what I've been doing in the past 10 years.
Fantastic. Can we talk a little bit about origins? Because I assume that it was quite the journey to get where we are today. So can you take us back as far as you're comfortable doing so, and we'll kind of explore that journey?
Of course. How much time do we have?
As much as you want.
Yeah. So we started Real back in 2014. And we really started it because we wanted to find ways to make agents' lives better. When we looked at the landscape, we just thought that agents were underserved and overpaying, and we thought that there's a better way of doing brokerage, and there's an opportunity to deliver more value at a lower cost for agents. And I can tell you that obviously we did not know everything we know now, which was both a positive and a negative. It was a positive because it allowed us to think outside of the box and try to reimagine everything from scratch. It was a negative because we had to go through, or we have made so many mistakes that maybe could have been avoided if we knew the industry much better. But I came from real estate background. I ran my own real estate investment company in Houston, Texas. I was doing developments. I was doing property management. I was doing multifamily investments as well. Anyway, we just set out on a mission to change as many lives in the real estate space as possible in North America. And we've been doing that for 10 years. We've been through a lot of ups and downs. We characterize ourselves as a startup because we are heavily focused on technology, both for our agents and for our agents' clients, which meant that we needed to raise a lot of money from tech investors. We went through times where we did not have enough funding and we had our backs to the wall. I had to lay off all of the employees twice in the life of the company. And at some point we were left with, I think we were like 3 or 4 of us. That's it. But I always believe that if you create value for people, then people will buy into it. And you just have to continue and focus on value. Even if times are bad, even if things are not working, just focus on delivering value to people, and eventually someone will buy into it, and maybe people will also be willing to pay for it. And by the way, I think that that's a lesson for all of us as agents. If you're not able to articulate your value, or even explain to yourself what kind of value you provide to your buyers and sellers, you have a problem in your business. So let's first of all understand what you're doing as agents. But going back to the real story, maybe I should touch on the one anecdote throughout those 10 years, because I think that recently everyone started noticing us just in the past 2-3 years. But there's 7-8 years that preceded that and those years were not easy. I can tell you that. So I'll just give you one snapshot in time or in the history of the company. It was at the beginning of 2019. At that point, we already raised about $15 million. We burned through all of it. We invested in the product, in attracting agents, in supporting agents. We were left with $50,000 in the bank. That's it. I had to lower our burn rate and fire almost everyone. Came back to our investors and told them, hey, we have $50,000 in the bank. It's enough for maybe 2 months at the current burn rate. We need more money. And then they told me, you burned through so much money. Why should we continue and believe in a company? And at that point, I told him, let me figure out a plan. And we were super tiny back then. We had a couple of hundreds of agents after 7 years of operation, or no, 5 years of operation. And I came back to them and said, agents are partners in this business and they help us grow. So let's take the company public and create an equity incentive program and make our agents partners, true partners in this business. And initially they laughed because they said, typically companies go public when they're on that upward trajectory and everything's going well and they have a lot of revenue. Like the company back then had, I don't know, $10 million in revenue or less. Oh, wow. Typically you go out to become publicly traded when you have $100 or more million. And they just told me, okay, we've got nothing to lose. And then I said, but it costs about $600,000 to become publicly traded, and we don't have that kind of money. And they told me, it's your problem. Like you came up with the idea, just try to find $600,000. Anyway, long story short, we made it happen and everything is history. We went public in the summer of 2020. And since then, all of this crazy momentum that we're experiencing started. But what I'm trying to say here is that we did not have it the easy way from the beginning. Actually, we had more rough years than good years so far. Fortunately enough, the last 3 years have been amazing. But I think that when you go through that kind of cycles in your business, it teaches you many things. One of those things is humility, and knowing that even when times are good, it can change in a second. And when times are bad, you should not stop believing. And I know that for many agents, times are currently bad, but you should never stop believing because everything could change in a second. And often it happens like that. And I'm pretty sure for many of the agents that are now feeling the pressure and are feeling down and they don't see the light, things will change in a second. It sometimes takes a decision. It takes a change in the market. It takes a single client that all of a sudden opens up a variety of opportunities. It's there, and it's only us. It's on us to execute it. It's on us to persevere, and it's on us to make it happen. So I'm sorry if that was too long, but
no, that's great. That's such great advice. And Ryan and I joined Real in June. And in our province in Canada here, we're growing slowly, but it's really been an awesome experience.
So previous to your real estate career, what were you doing?
So I was born and I grew up in Israel. And typically in Israel, when you graduate high school, you immediately join the military. And you do that. Boys serve for 3 years, girls serve for 2 years. So I served. And then when I completed my service, I went to work in construction, which is kind of unusual because typically in Israel, when you complete your military service, everybody wants to go abroad for a year or two, visit India, South America, just, try and get lost for a couple of years. And then everybody comes back, goes to college. So by the end of, when you're 25, you're actually starting your career. And I decided to start my career when I was 21, and I went to work in construction, which is also unusual because typically you want to be a manager or you don't want to work too hard. But something attracted me to construction, and I spent 2.5 years as a construction worker, and then I got a degree in economics. And after that, I started working for a startup in the year 2000, focusing on sales and business development in Europe. and I've spent 5 years with 2 different startups or tech companies in Europe. And then in 2013, in 2006, I left the tech world. I went to Houston, Texas, and started flipping single-family homes out of nowhere. I met a guy who told me that he's doing real estate in Houston, and he was very persistent, and he kept sending me information, and I did my due diligence until one day I went there, and my eyes opened just because of the sea of opportunities that I saw in Houston. It was a stable market, very strong job market back then, because of the oil and gas economy. And I decided that I wanted to build a business there. So at the beginning, I was flipping single family homes. And then, as you know, the market crashed in 2007 and 2008. And I was young or younger and bolder maybe. And I just thought that it's an opportunity to buy everything that nobody else wanted to buy, because banks had a lot of inventory on their books that they needed to get rid of. A lot of developers were struggling and they needed cash. There were just many opportunities if you were not afraid of looking at the situation and saying, okay, we understand that it's cyclical, and maybe it'll take 2 years, maybe 3 years, maybe 5 years, but eventually markets do not go down forever. At some point, there's the bottom, and then there's an upward cycle. So I think that I kind of decided that I'm going to dare and take the chance and start buying. And I had some investors who backed me up, and we started buying multifamily properties. And we also bought some unfinished developments directly from banks, and just started building my business that way. And then at some point, we owned a critical mass of apartments, so we needed our own property management company. So we opened our own property management company. In 2010, President Obama was trying to revive the economy through pouring a lot of money into infrastructure, because he wanted to create a lot of jobs. The problem is, as a contractor, if you wanted to participate in those jobs, you needed to put up a bond. Most small contractors were wiped out because of the economy, so they could not present the bond to even apply for the job. So we were fortunate to focus on those governmental jobs that were anywhere between $5 and $20 million. So we focused on that as well. So what I'm trying to say is that we were trying to capitalize on those opportunities that were created by that financial crisis. And then we sold the company in 2013. I don't want to sound like I'm that smart, because I'm probably not. And I'll tell you why. Because in 2013, we felt that the market was about to crash again. Like we said, it doesn't make sense that things that we bought for X are now trading for 2X. It's a bubble. It's going to burst. We're out of here. Let's sell everything. And we were in such a huge pressure to sell everything before everything collapses. And we sold, and we waited on the sidelines, and nothing happened. And as you know, things continue to appreciate until probably 2022. So I'm not that smart. That's what I'm trying to say. But I think that good times and bad times teach you a lot of things. And maybe that's the single positive thing about growing older, is the fact that you've seen things, and maybe you learned some lessons, maybe. But everything else about getting old is probably not that great.
Better to sell just a little bit early than a little bit late.
Yes.
That's true. That's true.
So I have a question for you about the future of Real. What do you see? What are you wanting to plan for Real's future, your goals, the company?
Well, first, I have to say that it always feels like day one for me at Real, because the future looks so exciting, and it's evolving all the time. Like, the opportunity is evolving, and it doesn't feel like we started the company 10 years ago and I'm already exhausted. No, I'm probably more energized than I was in day one, because just now everything is starting to crystallize for me. But as I said, we started out of a mission of making agents' lives better, and this is what we've been focusing on for 10 years. at the same time, I think that a few other things are becoming clear to us. And one of them is the fact that if we truly care about our agents, we also need to care about our agents' clients. And that's something that we started to think about a year and a half ago, like the home buying and home selling journey. And I always look at my kids. I think that my aha moment regarding that was one of my kids asked me a question, and I told him, just Google it. And he was looking at me, and he told me, what's Google? Like, who's Googling anything? I'm searching stuff on YouTube. And for me, that was like, for me, Googling things was, that's the tech way of doing stuff. But then when he gave me that answer, it made me realize that what we need to build is a journey for the next generations. For my oldest son is 17 years old. We need to build a home buying journey that he will enjoy. And at that point, I asked myself, okay, if I asked him to buy a home today and go through all of the steps of buying a home as our industry delivers today, is this something he's going to be happy with? Is this a great experience? And the answer was he would probably give up. And that was kind of shocking, because I think that those generations, the people that are in their early 20s or in their teens right now, are so accustomed to doing things in a certain way and a certain convenience and speed and transparency and control when they're buying or interacting with companies, but that does not exist in real estate. So at that point, I said, okay, we have to take responsibility over that, and we have to build a great experience, a great home buying experience with technology while leaving the agents in the center of the transaction. And that's pretty vague. I know it's only words, but you have to think about every single task, every single moment in the home buying journey, and try to reimagine and try to think outside of the box and say, okay, how does it need to work, and how is it working right now? So I think that, going back to the question, what's in the future for Real, alongside continuing to build an amazing platform for agents that will hopefully change as many lives as possible, we also want to be that company that change the way people buy and sell homes. As I said, using technology while leaving the agents in the center. And I think that this is the future for real estate. I don't think that people will continue to buy homes in the same way as they do right now in 10 years. And someone needs to create it. And this is what we will be doing in the next 5 years.
I find that very intriguing.
Exciting too.
Now,
yeah,
I watched a video where you were talking about the current market and what we might be facing, and that it possibly could be more challenging than 2007, 2008.
Oh, when was that?
Oh, that might be, I might be paraphrasing a little bit, but it's going to be a challenge for a lot of agents, we'll say. So,
yeah.
What would you tell an agent in this environment, or what would you say to them to basically keep them going, or advice you could give to them?
So at the beginning of 2022, we analyzed the market. At the end of every year, we have to build a budget for the company for the next year. And when you build a budget, you have to make some market assumptions. You have to assume whether transaction volume in the market is going to go up or down, average home price, because this is how you build the numbers eventually. So we go through that exercise at the beginning or the end of every year, and then we every quarter we ask ourselves, okay, where are we compared to where we thought we will be? So around March 2022, I posted either a video or a post on Workplace, and I told our agents the market is about to change, and you better get ready for that. And so I think we were pretty spot on with the timing of the change. And by the way, I think that we are close to a change in the market again, which I believe will arrive probably around March or the second quarter of 2024. I might be wrong. I've been wrong many times before, but it goes back to how we started the conversation. Agents are small business owners, and as such, the success or failure of your business is dependent on you and you alone. And if you're running a team, then your teammates. But it's on you. And I'll give you an example. A couple of weeks ago, we released our third quarter earnings. And while the general market was down around 17% year over year, and all of our peers posted, decline in revenues of anything between 5 and 30%, we grew revenue by 92%. So you would ask, how is this possible? Like, how is the entire industry going south, and then there's one single company that's doing so much better? But that demonstrates that if the market is bad and if everyone else is hurting, it doesn't mean that your business has to hurt. There are opportunities in the down market as well. And if you work hard, and if you persevere, and if you don't give up, and if you try new things, and if you tap into your contacts, and if you're very methodical, then you can outperform the market. And we have a lot of agents, by the way, and a lot of teams that in 2023 had a better year compared to 2022. And that's execution. That's only execution. So I think that obviously markets can give us, tailwinds or headwinds, but at the end of the day, what determines the performance of your business is your own performance. And if you truly believe that you can excel and you can do better than the market, you will do better than the market. It's just about your, again, determination and how much you're willing to work hard.
Well, I sincerely hope you are correct in the turnaround prediction.
Yes, me too.
Now, particularly when it comes to interest rates and before people need to renew, that would be refreshing to see. But yeah, I agree with everything you said there. I mean, lots of people are doing better than they had in previous years because they're rising to the occasion.
Right. And at the end of the day, it's a zero-sum game. Like, if one is winning, it means that, like, if one is closing a deal, that's a deal that somebody else is not closing. So you need to make sure that you're that person who takes deals and grows market share. And by the way, when the market shifts and becomes better, you will benefit tremendously from that. And one of the things that during the second half of 2022 were very difficult for us as a company was the fact that we're doing so many things and putting so many efforts, but returns are muted. Like, we did not see any return. Like, we invested so much in this and put all of the efforts into that, but nothing happened. And that could be off-putting. But those are investments that you're doing into your business. And once the market changes, they will pay back big time. So those investments, either in time or in money, it's not lost. It's just muted for the time being, and it'll pay back big time when the market shifts. So don't be discouraged if things are not working.
That's such great advice. I do have a question for you about real events. Is there ever a chance of you coming to Canada for a real event?
So I'm actually going to be in Toronto at the end of January 31st. But yes, in 2024, we will have a few events in Toronto, BC, Alberta.
Oh, nice.
So
Manitoba?
We'll get there too. Yeah. I mean,
fantastic.
By the way, it depends on the quarter, but between 10 and 20% of our revenue comes from Canada. So it's not negligible at all. It's very significant.
Nice. Yeah, I think we're around 100 real agents in our province right now, but I do know, I think Alberta and BC are quite large. So
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
we'll get there. We're growing.
Well, are you ready for those 4 questions that we always like to ask Stacy?
Well, I actually do have one other question about, since he asked what was behind you, I'm curious about those Nikes behind him.
I was wondering about that myself.
Yes.
Yeah, so those are real branded Nikes.
Oh, wow.
You can see. Yeah, and then there's the work
Whoa.
hard and be kind on the other one. It's actually a gift that a few of our agents gave me in our 2022 annual conference.
It's really nice.
Yeah,
I had to ask.
All right, we got a few questions for you, a few more. They're fun ones.
Sure.
Let's us in behind your personality just a little bit. What is your favorite movie of all time?
Oh, wow. I would say, can I choose 2?
Sure.
I would say The North Shore, which is somewhat of a surfing movie. And the second one was probably the original Top Gun.
Oh, the original, not the sequel.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay,
The original one.
Nice. What is your favorite thing to do when you're not working?
So I spend a lot of time with my family. But if you're asking about hobbies, I'm an ocean person or a sea person. Like we have the Mediterranean here, which is, I know we're in Canada, so we have to talk in meters. The Mediterranean is 100 meters from my home. So when I'm not working, I'm trying to free dive as much as possible. I like to sail too. So anything that has to do with the sea.
Nice.
Do you have a sailboat?
It's actually a small motor boat, so I'm going out fishing, and but yeah, every summer I go to Greece to sail.
Oh,
too.
wow.
Yeah.
Excellent. I'll be in Greece in 2024 for the World Arm Wrestling Championships, by the way.
Is it going to be in Athens?
I'm not sure. I hope
Okay.
so.
It's a beautiful country. You should probably take a week or two just to.
That's on my bucket list. Greece. Yeah.
What book has had the most influence on you?
Well, it's a book in Hebrew, so I don't even know how to translate it. But it's a book that I read when I was around 25. At that point, I was about to get married. I was very confused. And that book, in many ways, showed me the way. Even though I don't think that this is what the book intended to do, when the writer wrote it, but it just, sometimes you read a book and it's just the perfect words at the perfect timing, and it aligns with your current situation in life. And I think that this is what happened to me with that book, but I don't even know how to translate the name of it.
That's okay. Hardest question of the day. The single best piece of advice you've ever been given.
Oh, that's probably easy. One of my closest friends, his name is Guy, and he was the first investor at Real. And he specializes in investing in startups, early stage startups. Typically, he invests in companies when there's only an idea. There's no app, there's no technology, there's no team, just a person with an idea. And this is how he invested in Real. And we became friends afterwards. But he has seen a lot of startups. He has seen a lot of startups succeed and fail. And from the very beginning, he always told me, just keep the business alive. So when we went through rough times and I needed to make rough decisions, he told me, just make sure you keep your head above water, because eventually something will happen. And he was so right, because for 7 years, I kept the company alive when it was almost impossible to keep it alive. But what he said kind of stuck with me. And I said, okay, like if I keep it alive, as long as you're in the game, you have a chance of winning. So for me, that was huge, because obviously it worked. Like I did what he said and it worked, because right now we're doing great. But I'm not sure that if he hadn't told me that, I'm not sure we were here, by the way. I think that there's a good chance that at some point maybe I would have said, maybe the world is trying to tell us something. Maybe this is not working. Maybe this is not a good business. So I'm grateful for him, and I'm grateful for the advice. And I would just give the same advice to any entrepreneur. Just keep your business alive, especially today. Keep it alive. Things will change for the better. I can promise you that. Just keep it alive.
That's great advice.
Excellent advice. Tamir, we so appreciate you jumping on here with us and spending some time with us. It's an honor to have you here for our 50th episode. And
thank you for having me.
Thank you,
Stacy, and thank you, Ryan. Yeah, I should come visit you guys. So
yes,
that's on my list, and we'll make it happen in 2024.
Yes,
perfect.
I'm so excited to see the future of Real and love working with the company.
Me too.